glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. More news abounds, more quarterback news. So this should be interesting, and I'm sure very opinionated by most that listen to it, because everyone has an idea of who should start and who shouldn't, and yeah, let's get into it.
Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. The alarms are sounding, and it's two sets of alarms. It sounds like one alarm, Ant, right? Because it's just breaking news, or at least like just, important news, but it's actually two sets of alarm bells that ring in almost the same tune, Ant. The Jimmy is practicing today alarm, and the Jimmy, right, the people who are really pro Jimmy getting really excited, and the, oh my God, they're going to do this to Trey Lance alarm is sounding right now for people. Look, hit the like button right now, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell, and let's jump into this thing, because Jimmy Garoppolo came from his mouth. He wants to play, Ant. He wants to play. He wants to practice. He wants to give it a go today in practice. Kyle Shanahan talked about this a little bit in his presser. They're going to let this thing happen. They're going to see how it feels. This is a step in the potential right direction for Jimmy Garoppolo to be able to go this weekend if he can show out and do the things he needs to do. I'm not surprised that Jimmy wants to practice and Jimmy wants to play. Are you surprised by any of this? And should people be concerned, excited? How should they be feeling about this?
No, I'm not surprised that Jimmy wants to play. I mean, Jimmy knows the situation. He doesn't want to let his teammates down, number one. But number two, he knows there's a young buck right there that wants that spot.
100%.
And if he leaves an opening, I mean, all we have to do is look back to 2012. You leave one little opening. Alex Smith was rolling pretty good for the 49ers. He left an opening, and Colin Kaepernick run right through it. So, yeah, you don't want to leave these opportunities. You don't want to have times where you're not on the field if you're a starting quarterback, because everyone's always looking for your replacement. So, yeah, he wants to get out there. I'm not surprised. And, he told Kyle Shanahan he's going to give it a go. And they're going to go out there and they're going to see what he can do. He comes out there in Friday's practice today, and really does something well, is able to plan off that foot, then he's probably going to start against Arizona. I mean, that's just as clear as we can say it. And what results we're going to get is another story. Because if he's really healthy, then I'm okay with him playing quarterback. But if he's not going to be able to plan off that back foot, he's going to be throwing off the front foot, airmailing balls like he was, against Seattle in the second part of that game, or second part of that first half, then, yeah, it puts us in a tougher position, because then we don't have somebody out there that we can really count on. But if he's able to put weight on it and he's able to drive the football like Jimmy Garoppolo can, he can find windows and get the football out, then, yeah, I want him on the football field.
Yes. Just yes. I mean, that's the reality of the situation with me and how this goes and how this plays out. If Jimmy can drive, if Jimmy can plant, if Jimmy can step through and push through the back leg and through his throws, I'm not worried. Jimmy can put the ball in some great spots, and the elite release that he has allows for great opportunities and chances to attack the middle of that field and do other things like that. But look, if he can't plan off of it, if he's not comfortable, if it's not consistent, then you need to roll with the young man. You need to give him an opportunity to extend and take those shots downfield and see what he can do. It's the reality of the situation. If Jimmy's not healthy, if he's not 100% and can, maybe not 100%, 100% is probably not the right word. But if he can't do the things he needs to do to successfully throw the football and put it in the spots that he needs to put it in, then yeah, you need to take a chance and roll with a guy, the young man who can push the ball downfield, who creates different opportunities for the offense, right? Different ways to attack, and definitely a different scheme. But Kyle seemed very excited just about all the things Jimmy does. And he talked about how he doesn't really have to practice right now. He has a full grasp of the system. He's doing the things that he needs to do already, and on top of the game plan as it is right now, as it currently sits, that, it's fine. For him, he's not willing to rule anybody else out right now. The only one he's willing to rule out is Trent Williams, which is not a shock to anyone here or any of the Cutback crew, the faithful, because he's not going to be ready to go until probably after the bye week is what you're hoping. Maybe even a little bit after that if things don't progress well, although everything seems to be progressing the right way right now for K1. So, look, Jimmy has an understanding of the system. He has an understanding of the offense, and Jimmy operates fine when healthy and when he can do the things it needs to do and when he can utilize his lower half. When he can't utilize his lower half is where things start to get a little wonky for this man.
I think it's more than likely that he's going to go out there and start. The one thing it does, though, is it gives the 49ers an opportunity, because the injury's there, that if for any reason Kyle Shanahan believes that he's not going to be able to do the things that he needs to do in the game, he can pull him out at any moment and go with Trey Lance. And they've been rolling, obviously, with a couple game plans, right? One for Trey Lance, one for Jimmy Garoppolo, because the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is all over the game plan, it means that there's a game plan for him as well, because you're not going to go in there and not have a game plan for Jimmy Garoppolo, that he's learning, and not a game plan for Trey Lance. So this will be a time when a dual quarterback system, as far as these guys could both see playing time in this game, because you have both plans in there. It's a tougher week, but you knew you had to do it. You had to prepare in case Jimmy wasn't ready to go. At the same time, you had to prepare in case Jimmy was there, because he is the starting quarterback. Trey Lance is the guy that's, the upstart that's coming up, and he's a lot of ability. He's got a lot of raw talent. It's exciting when he's out there. But I just think that Kyle Shanahan and this football team is more comfortable with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. I think they'll be a little bit more comfortable this week with Trey Lance, because they'll have a plan in place, and they've also went through practice with them. So I think those things are important. It's really we're really in a good situation as far as the backup quarterback with Trey Lance, because he gives us a better opportunity to win than either of the quarterbacks that we had last season.
Not wrong, Ant. Not wrong at all. Not wrong indeed. And look, this is just one of those things right now where it's still a wait and see. Right? Today's practice will give a lot of insight into what's going on, and it may give some insight too into Kyle Shanahan in terms of what he wants to do. And who knows, Ant? Maybe this is the Shanahan week. Shanahan, it's back. It's actually going to have potentially. Who knows? Maybe the Shanahan is something that could be a possibility this week for the 49ers. You put Jimmy in situations where he could be successful, right? But then you don't worry about it as much and give Trey some opportunities as well. So you're not putting the burden on Jimmy to play through whatever he's dealing with the entirety of the time. He can come out and take some breaks and take some rest and things of that nature, and not put him in precarious situations with that lower leg, especially if you feel like he's the guy who can get you there right now. And Steve Young kind of elaborated on that too. He talked about how he wanted to see a little bit more out of Trey Lance. Talked about how right now, he believes Jimmy is the guy that gives him the best chance to try and get to a Super Bowl right now, but that Trey is obviously going to be the guy in the future and down the road, and definitely has a high ceiling. Based on the stuff we've seen in film so far, that's what it feels like as well. This is what it feels like with this team and with this guy. Trey's got a lot of upside, like you said. He's got a lot of the physical gifts and the tools that can make him special. And I had gone on for the podcast yesterday for the He's on Fire podcast, and they brought up this quarterback situation, and we're asking, how are you guys? How are 49ers fans feeling about this? And most 49ers fans feel like they just want the young man to roll, right? They just want to just get to it already, but you can't just throw a guy out there sometimes and fire. Sometimes time is a best friend and an ally for a young player in this league coming up. And Kyle obviously feels that way. He's not trying to put this kid into positions where he could potentially fail, or put him out there and get his weaknesses exposed and have him feel like his confidence, like, oh man, I just can't do some of these things right now. He's trying to build him up, give him little bits and pieces that he can chew on, little bits and pieces that he can work on, and slowly start to build, and lay this foundation for the quarterback that he can eventually become. Because I think you and I both think it could be incredible.
Oh, his athletic ability is off the charts. Physical gifts, off the charts. Mental capacity, off the charts. Technique, not off the charts. And what Kyle Shanahan is trying to do is win football games. That's what he's trying to do. He's paid to win football games. He just wants to go out there and try to win a Super Bowl. And that's why I've been saying this from the beginning. This has nothing to do with Trey Lance as a person or Jimmy Garoppolo. No. What Kyle cares about is winning. So he's going to put the player out there that's best, able to win football games. That's just the way it is. If Trey was that guy, he's going to roll with Trey. And that's how it's going to be this week. If Trey gives the 49ers the best advantage against Arizona because of Jimmy's leg, then Trey's going to play. And that's how it's going to be. So I think that a lot of times we read a little bit too much into it. It's really as simple as that. Like, I'm going to play the best player. The best player is going to go out there and try to help us win. And he needs to do that for his football team. Right now, he still has the football team there. They're still all behind him, and they know right now they're in the thick of it. They need to go out there and win. This is a very pivotal game. So Kyle's going to do his best to make sure they win the game.
Absolutely, has to. Have to do it, have to get it done. This is a big win this week if you can get it. Not only is it an NFC West opponent, but it puts you above 500, puts you right back into contention for the NFC West title, because if you get that title, you're sitting with the top 4 seed guaranteed, and you'd rather be in the top 4 than the bottom 3. It's a much more comfortable scenario and situation to be in.
Oh, yeah.
And you get at least one home game, so there's always that. That's always a nice thing when you get at least one of those things. Look, some other DNPs in practice today. You had Eric Armstead, but not dealing with an injury. Not injury-related DNP, just a rest day. Samson Ebukam still dealing with a little bit of the hamstring stuff, which might be a little bit of a concerning, and it's getting close. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo yesterday, DJ Jones yesterday as well, DNP, Kittle, DNP yesterday. Not too worried about that quite yet. And then K1 Williams, DNP, obviously. Limited, Javon Kinlaw, Elijah Mitchell, and Josh Norman. And apparently, Ant, the blue non-contact jersey off for Josh Norman. Ant, are we going to get a secondary week with 3 healthy cornerbacks?
We could. It sure seems like it. It sure seems like Norman is on track to play this week, which is good news, because it doesn't appear Samson Ebukam is. If Ebukam doesn't practice today, then he's probably not going to play in this football game. And then we lose an edge presence and an edge rush that really would have been nice against Kyler Murray with the speed. So this is unfortunate. Hopefully he is able to go today. Hopefully he's able to get out there, even if it's in limited capacity, so they can get him out there, and then he'll be able to play Sunday. Because I think if he doesn't, he's not going to be playing.
It's got to be tough, man. It's got to be tough. Look, Alex Mack was a full participant in practice, as was Trent Williams. Folks, Big Trent looks like he's going to be A-okay. The Madden simulation was wrong, Ant, which means that the Madden simulation is wrong about that. Maybe they're wrong about the run game, and Elijah Mitchell will be able to get some things going. Look, I loved hearing that Trent Williams is a full go in practice. We'll see how he feels today when he comes in and what happens. If he's a full go today as well. Everything trending towards a Trent Williams playing and avoiding a huge injury, knowing that we got the bye next week too. He'll have a full almost 2 weeks to recover and get himself ready for that Week 6 game against Indianapolis. That's going to be huge for this team. And on the flip side, on the other side, some interesting DNPs for the Arizona Cardinals. Chase Edmonds dealing with a little bit of a shoulder, Byron Murphy dealing with some ribs, and Justin Murray dealing with his back. Okay, that leaves some questions up in the air for them, because if Byron Murphy's not going, you're then going to be asking Marco Wilson to really step in and potentially play on the outside more often than he has been in certain situations. Chase Edmonds is not going. The burden falls on James Conner, one running back, a little bit more of a power guy. Maybe the Niners can have a little bit more success with a guy like that. Kelvin Beachum was limited for them. Eno Benjamin, their other running back, limited for them. Antonio Hamilton limited. Justin Pugh limited, dealing with the hip. Max Williams dealing with the shoulder. And Marco Wilson limited, dealing with ribs also. So not 100% healthy. Guys, look, Cutback crew, faithful, look, a lot of names on the list for the Arizona Cardinals, just like for San Francisco. This is what happens, right? You're this part of the season, you're grinding. The good news for the 49ers, you got a break after this. So you just got to make it through this week. Let's get it done. Let's get to that bye week as healthy as we possibly can be. No more major injuries, and hopefully with a nice win. Yeah,
if you were going to tell me that we needed to have injuries for Arizona in certain positions, offensive line and secondary would sure be good places, and that appears to be, a case for them. But you're right. Everyone in the NFL is going through injuries, dealing with things right now, resting players, doing what they have to do to try to manage these guys so they're available to go, whether that is Thursday, Sunday, or Monday. You just have to make sure you can get these guys on the field and put together the best thing you can. It's really a war of attrition. It's who's going to be healthy and standing at the end. That's why I don't know how anyone gives up on a football team, early in the season, because there's just so much that can happen. Anything can happen. Who forgets that the Jets with Herm Edwards, you play to win the game, and they were really struggling, and all of a sudden they turned it around, because that can happen in football. So just because you're 2-2 doesn't mean you can't come back. And I think they can come back. I think the 49ers can. And if they win this game, the outlook on everybody's mind, right? Everybody's going to see this team differently across the National Football League, but more importantly, even in the fan base.
100%. Man, this is huge. It's big. And you're not wrong about all of those things, man. Going 2-2 is not what you want. It's not how you're looking to start things. It's not the way you want things to go. But in the NFC, man, there's 14 other teams that are 2-2. 14. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for the 49ers. I mean, yes, you don't want to be 2-2, but at least you're in the hunt. You're in the pack. You're with everybody else. You have an opportunity. And I said NFC, I meant NFL. There's 14 other teams in the NFL that are 2-2. So you're right in the thick of everything, in the mix to be able to compete and contend. If you drop to 2-3, it's not great, but you're still not technically out of it. But avoid all of that, right? The Niners have a chance to avoid all that, erase the sins of the past the last few weeks, and get themselves to 3-2, put themselves over 500, and they're going to be going into a bye. And the Indianapolis Colts are not. They're not going into a bye, so they got another game in week 6, and then in week 7, they're going to have to turn around and face a hungry, rejuvenated, and completely refreshed 49ers team coming out of that bye week. That's huge for San Francisco. You could put two big, huge games together coming out of week 7, 2 big wins going into week 8, sitting at 4-2 and back in the driver's seat, complete control over not only your own destiny, but just where the season is going and where your team is headed. And yeah, you still got tough games. Don't get me wrong. There's still tough games down the stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals are not looking like a complete wash of a team. They're looking improved. They're looking better, but they still have weaknesses. Joe Burrow is still a young quarterback in this league, and there's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of time in the NFL season. A lot of things can change for a lot of teams, including San Francisco. But if things are changing and trending in the right direction here after week 7, they can string together a couple of wins. People are going to look back just a few weeks prior and be like, man, we were probably a little high on the knob there, the panic knob. Maybe we should have been at like a 2 or a 3, like a concerned, not a full-fledged panic. It's time to make sweeping changes, and Kyle Shanahan has to go.
Yeah, it's frustration. I mean, it really is. You expect this team to play better, and we all have that bad taste in our mouth still from the Super Bowl where we lost. And everyone wants to get back there, and we need a Super Bowl in San Francisco. I mean, it's been a long time, and everyone's expecting Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch to deliver, and so far, we haven't got one, and so everyone's itching for it, and so because we have all that energy and we've been clamoring for it, sometimes we react a little bit strong. And that is normal of a fan base that won 5 Super Bowls so quickly, is that you expect greatness at all times. And we went through the real depths where it was really bad. It was a dumpster fire. And we've come out now and we're like, all right, we're back. And then the team has underperformed a little bit this year. But that's okay because it's a long season. I think if we were halfway through the year and we were sitting at 500, I would feel less confident in this football team. But I still have confidence in the team, confidence in the front office that we can get it done. But they're going to have to execute at a high level. And the 49ers are going to have to play 4 strong quarters of football to beat Arizona. Arizona is no, cupcake. They are very good. But I'm excited for this game because it's a measuring stick game. Yeah, you lost to Seattle, but you were right there with them. Now this is a measuring stick game where you're like, you know what? We're still one of the best teams in the NFC West, and we can prove it in this game. And I think every one of those teams see it. Every single one of those teams know that any of them can beat each other on any single day. That's really how it comes down to it in the NFL. So we'll see if they can get it going. But it's going to be nice if we can have most of our players back. And then once we come out of the bye week, have almost all of our players back. Because once we're at full strength, then we can finally see the full potential of this team realized.
That's the big thing. It feels like we haven't really had an opportunity to see it. Last year, we were deprived of it 2 games in. This season, it felt like things were going well, and we were deprived of it in the first game by the time we got to the 3rd, 4th quarter of that game with good old Jason Verrett going down. So it just really feels like we've never gotten to see and realize that full potential with everyone healthy, everyone on the same page. And that's the league, unfortunately. And that's the nature of the sport, is that sometimes your best laid plans just get obliterated. Then you don't get to realize them, right? You don't get to see them. You don't get to execute them. You don't get to experience them the way we wanted to experience them. And then it's predicated on your coaching staff. It's predicated on your players to get it done. First 2 weeks, got by. Wasn't pretty, but we got by. Week 3 and week 4, we weren't able to get by. And it also wasn't pretty. And that's the nature of it when you're trying to figure things out. This team has had 4 weeks now to try and get things figured out and dialed in and get things a little cleaner. Well, now's an opportunity. Now's an opportunity to put it all together, have it come full circle, all the preparation, all the adversity you've been dealing with, all the questions, all the nonsense, all the noise. You can put it all away. You can shut it up. You can silence it for good, San Francisco. You can bring the faithful back down to earth a little bit and calm them and calm their spirits and settle them down by executing and doing the things you need to do for 4 quarters. Because if you do that, right, you keep Kyler Murray in the pocket, you contain him, take the things away that he wants to do, make him play from the pocket and make him play with big bodies and hands in his face. It's going to be very difficult for him to execute at the level that we've seen Kyler Murray execute. Because he's still going to get the things that, he shouldn't get. He's still going to have those moments. Mm-hmm. But you want to limit him. Limit him as much as you can.
Yeah, make him throw from the pocket. By making him throw from the pocket, he's going to have to elevate the football over the middle if that's where he's going, because he has to get the ball over the defensive line, which means he can sell it. And if he sells it, that leaves opportunities for these safeties and defensive backs to make plays. I'm finally starting to feel comfortable with our corner room because we got Kirkpatrick, we got Norman, and we got Mosley. Mosley's doing his thing. Mosley's been playing at a high level. And then what that does is allow us to bring Deommodore, Lenoir in when we want to bring him in. And he's not forced out there to play. He got baptized by fire early in the season.
Yeah.
But now he has a better understanding, and he's going to be able to come in if needed and if asked. But you have veteran players out there that know how to get it done. You see the little things that they do, whether it's Josh Norman hooking someone around the waist and getting away with it, or if it's Drake Kirkpatrick coming up and really helping stop against the run or the smoke screens. Those are things that those guys add to the team that those other guys were struggling with. And we just weren't deep enough at this corner position. The loss of Jason Verrett was huge. They were counting on him being that guy. And once he was gone, they needed to scramble and do something, and they did. It's unfortunate that, Norman got hurt, but what we saw was that Kirkpatrick was a great signing because he came out and he did a very, very good job against Seattle. The fact that him and Mosley really held Lockett and DK in check gives me a lot of hope for this week, and a lot of hope that they can go out there and slow this Arizona defense down offense down to what level? I don't know. You've came out and put it down that you think they're going to stop them in a big way. I think that the Arizona is going to get theirs to a point, but I think at some point the 49ers stiffen up and get it done. But it's going to be interesting. DeMeco Ryans has been calling some good football games. Can he call it one to confuse Cliff Kingsbury? If I was betting on a coordinator of DeMeco Ryans versus Kingsbury, I'm taking DeMeco Ryans every day of the week.
Look, a lot of things have gone the Cardinals' way right now. However, there's a big however. And I did upset some Cardinals fans yesterday on their podcast. I apologize. They weren't upset when I was on, but once I got off, they were upset about my.
Why are you sorry?
13-point per day. Well, I mean, I'm not really sorry, right? I'm sorry that it upset them so much. But for me, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple why I think this can happen. Number one, we've watched the film. I've seen the schemes and the positions that DeMeco Ryans put them in, and you're now going into a week where you're going to have potentially all three of these corners out there in space, which means you're not maybe afraid to go into those nickel situations with Dante Johnson and or Deommodore Lenoir. It's possibly Drake Kirkpatrick. Shoot, you could even have situations where you throw Emmanuel Mosley in the slot. I wasn't even thinking about that, Ant.
Yeah, you can.
So you have a healthy potential cornerback room, the return of your speedy running back, and we've seen the run schemes there, and just, the big shots not being there because we haven't had the speed. Speed potentially could be back. What that may mean for Trey Lance, if Trey Lance is the guy running too, may create more opportunities to take shots downfield, which means opportunities to exploit that secondary of the Arizona Cardinals and get some big plays and big opportunities. But it's more than that. Arizona's offense hasn't really played an elite defense, like in terms of like next level elite. And I know what everyone's saying. What are you talking about? What about the Rams? Listen, Rams have their moments where they do really good things, but it is predicated on Aaron Donald being able to create pressure. When Aaron Donald cannot create pressure, they struggle. And guess what he did not do last week? Create pressure, which means Kyler's able to do the things he needs to do in the pocket, move around, get out in space, and all that fun stuff. And Aaron Donald is one guy. And we've talked about this before, and we had this conversation with Jay Hill when Jay Hill was on, and he was talking about how great that Rams defense is. And I'm like, you're right, but it is predicated on one dude being able to disrupt. And when he can disrupt, he disrupts at a level unlike anything we've ever seen before in this league. It is crazy what Aaron Donald can do and the impact he can have for that team. And, how successful Jalen Ramsey can be out there in space because of those things as well. Mm-hmm. Jalen Ramsey's already really good. When you give him Aaron Donald doing Aaron Donald things and wrecking shop, now he's next level is good. He's incredibly good. He's, it's locked down. One side of the field, it's taken care of.
Right.
But he's just one guy. And they do have holes in other places, including the safety room, including their other cornerback spot. Not always clean, and it's not always great. Arizona exploited those things. Minnesota, defense has not been good all season long. Last week, they had a good showing against Cleveland. They're finally starting to get it together a little bit, and good for them. They need to. The Jacksonville Jaguars, anyone going to sit here and tell me that they got an incredible defense?
I'm not incredible players.
You got some incredible players, but they haven't put it together at all. They've played a lot of teams early on this year, Ant, that have a lot of potential to be great, but they're just not ready yet. They have not figured it out and put it together. The 49ers defense has some of the talent now. They've found the pieces they need now. And they've put together a couple of really good weeks of solid execution outside of a few key mistakes here and there. And the offense or special teams putting, the opposing team in some nice situations to get some easy points on the board. This could be the week where it all comes together. And if it does, you could see the 49ers doing something that we all expected, which was more dominance from this defense than than maybe in the 2019 season, right? With how dominant that defense was, how impactful it was, the turnovers it created, and things like that. It all could come to fruition this week against Arizona. I feel it in my bones, man. I feel it in my bones. Cliff Kingsbury hasn't had a real test yet. He's going to get one this week. And if 49ers come out and execute whatever scheme DeMeco Ryans puts into place, it could be big time for San Francisco.
A couple of things. First off, you talked about Aaron Donald's impact. I think a lot of people forget how good Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor were.
Also true.
Lawrence Taylor completely revolutionized the game and how you rush from the outside.
I probably should have chose my words more carefully.
No, but I think there are people that think that 100%. I don't think that you're wrong about that. I think people see Aaron Donald now and see the impact he makes and forget that there were so many guys like that, including like a Deacon Jones, who was out there making all kinds of great plays.
Deacon.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool things, and I think one of those things is Minnesota has kind of played both Arizona and Seattle, and you've seen the blueprint of how they attack those defenses. 49ers can take away from those things because they do similar things with Kirk Cousins and the way that they move him and they move the pocket and they run the outside zone. So all of that is good film for the 49ers. So they're going to know how to attack Arizona. I mean, number one, they're really familiar with them, but they're going to be familiar with this version of Arizona.
Correct.
So I'm excited to see how they do it, how they attack it. The 49ers, we know, are going to use motion. They're going to want to move those guys around. And Arizona has some young players. And once you move those guys into precarious situations, you can attack them. All you have to do is get them out of position where you can get leverage with a blocker, and then all of a sudden you create a running lane for one of your running backs. So I'm curious how they scheme it up. I'm curious how they use Deebo Samuel. I keep expecting them to use Deebo Samuel as a decoy at some point. But right now, no one's able to stop him. So there's no reason to decoy him. Get him out there, get him the football, and let him create in space. I am curious how many times they go to the screens to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quick and let these guys create against the secondary, make these guys make tackles, especially with some of them banged up. They might not be willing to come up and get physical. Marco Wilson, not going to get physical. So I'm not really excited about that, or worried about that.
Only if it's a shoe, Ant. If he sees a shoe line on the ground, I'll tell you what, that man knows how to pick it up and chuck it 30 yards for a penalty.
He definitely does know how to throw a shoe. That is the only reason I knew who he was originally when we started our draft breakdowns, is because he threw a shoe. But actually, he's not that bad in coverage. I actually like his coverage skills.
He's been nice.
Yeah, he's been nice. But Arizona's going to be tested, and they're stressed differently. Like I've told some people that were telling me, why would anyone be worried about the 49ers offense, because Arizona's defense goes against Kyler Murray every day. Yeah, but Cliff Kingsbury's scheme is way different than the San Francisco 49ers scheme, like way different.
Like not even close to the same.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to see, right, the closer version is McVay's offense.
Correct.
So now they have film on what Arizona's defense did to McVay. So Kyle Shanahan understands how it could be approached, how it could be attacked, and now he can make the countermeasures that he needs to take.
There's also a significantly big difference between McVay's O-line there with the Rams and the 49ers O-line in terms of things. And now, especially with Trent Williams in place and probably playing, at least trending towards playing.
He's playing. He was a full participant in practice.
I agree with you. I tend to agree there. But with that in place as well, you're going to be able to do a lot more things and unique things, and you're going to win more of those matchups than the Rams won against Arizona. The opportunities are there, man. We've seen it on film. The blocking schemes are there. There's guys making blocks, and even on times where guys miss blocks or maybe don't make the cleanest block, the hole is there. Sometimes they're just not getting there fast enough, or sometimes someone's stepping up and making a great play. But when you have those guys stepping up to make those great plays, that leads to play actions having success for the 49ers and being able to do those types of things. So now when we go to those play actions, those guys are stepping up in the box and they send those blitzes in on those play action looks. We just need to pick them up better. We pick those up better, clean it up a little bit, create just a couple more seconds in that pocket for our quarterbacks to operate and make throws they need to make. 49ers offense is going to get rolling. It's going to have opportunities. Can we get that done, though? Can we execute it? I've heard a lot of people, talking about 49ers fans, how we're, too confident with our football team.
Maybe.
We believe too much in our football team.
Maybe.
First off,
we're faithful.
We're the faithful for a reason, number one. But number two, you and I, our confidence in the offense and defense, it's not based on loyalty. I mean, that plays a part, obviously, but it's based on what we've seen. And what we've seen is schemes designed where guys are open. And when guys are open, that means the play call is working. It's there. The coach is seeing the right things. He's putting guys in positions to have success. And now it's up to the guys on the field to execute, find the windows and the areas and the opportunities to attack, and then properly attack them. That's all that needs to happen. All that's left now is for when Kyle lays out the chessboard and makes the moves, the guys need to move to the right spots and attack the right areas. If they do those things, we're going to be just fine. And they're working on this. They're cleaning this up. The best part is despite D'Amico, right, and Kyle putting guys in the right positions and sometimes not executing it. What have we not heard a single word out of Kyle Shanahan and D'Amico Ryans? It's on the guys. We're doing all the right things. Guys just aren't making plays. Those words have not come out of their mouth because they know at the end of the day, right, they're in charge. This is their team. This is their scheme. They're not throwing anybody under the bus because there's no reason to. Because, hey, if I'm doing my job correctly, right, I'm putting you in positions to win, and we're not winning those matchups, I got to do something different so that you understand what it is that you need to do. Because I can keep putting us in those positions, and eventually, at some point in time, you're going to start winning.
I mean, even Bill Walsh had teams that didn't win, and there were times and lulls, and he was so meticulous about all the details and making sure everyone did it. And then when they went out there, they just didn't execute. That's what it comes down to sometimes. I mean, sometimes you can have the best laid plans, but if they're not able to execute or you missed a certain player or a player's gone, those plans can go awry. And right now, the 49ers are finding themselves where players are making a little bit of mistakes here and there. And mistakes happen during the game all the 100%. Time. Just unfortunately, these are happening at pivotal times. So if you can clean that up, it's all about consistency. Get more consistent on your plays, play in and play out. If you do that and you are consistent more times than not, you are going to be successful. They just gotta fix it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They just gotta fix it. Watching the all-22 film, it's not like it's being schemed up bad. I know we've seen the Azeez Al-Shaair out on DK Metcalf.
That wasn't great.
I mean, it's not awesome, but it's a zone. He's not in man coverage. It's not what's going on. Is it what we want? No, but you know what we don't have? Dre Greenlaw. And when you don't have Dre Greenlaw, then you get situations like this. And that's why you look at other players and try to bring in other guys, because you do know that you have players that have weaknesses. So it's unfortunate that happens, but you can't always call it different. You know what I mean? You can't always protect every single player on your team. At some point, there's 11 guys out there, and somebody has to make a play. And the offense is looking for that one guy that can't get it done. And that's what they did in that situation. It was DK on Azeez. Is that what you want? No. But guess what? That's what happens sometimes.
It was one play, right?
Yep.
It's the only time you ever see Azeez on DK out in space in any sort of zone or man coverage. He just needs to make one play. I've been saying this now for the past few episodes, right? One drive, one series, one play can be the difference. Sometimes you just roll out there with those guys and you look at the 11 you have who've been making, because Azeez has been making great plays, right?
Yeah.
And you say, hey, this is your time now. Show me something. Show me something, kid. This is your opportunity right here in this situation, this moment. We need you to get it done. Go get it done. You put faith in your guys because you have to as a coach. You have to give these guys opportunities to shine and make those plays and learn. If they make a mistake, learn from it. If Azeez makes that play, no one's talking about how that was a dangerous, risky scheme call by D'Amico Ryans. It's, man, D'Amico Ryans got a lot of faith in Azeez Al-Shaair, and I can see why, right? I see why he trusts and have faith in him. These moments that are happening right now or in the season could be defining moments later in the year.
Yeah, I mean, you're going off personnel grouping.
That too.
I mean, if you see that personnel grouping, you're thinking the Seattle Seahawks can run the football at that moment. If you take Azeez off the field and you put a DB in there, they're going to run the football right up, right down your throat. So you have to pick your poison. And unfortunately, it got the 49ers this time. But there's going to be other situations where it doesn't. But 100%, we're missing Dre Greenlaw. There's 2 touchdowns in this game that Azeez gives up, and it has nothing to do with with Azeez completely being out of position. He just doesn't execute. And it's unfortunate. And, the other one is because there's a blitz from Dante Johnson.
Dante Johnson just misses
but Azeez catches, he catches his eyes in the backfield watching, doesn't pick up Lockett and carry Lockett to the end zone, and it ends up being a touchdown. But, yeah, I mean, that's not that play, and that one in particular, for instance, is not on D'Amico Ryans. He dialed up the right blitz, the right coverage. Guys didn't execute.
No, and that's been the case. And look, Jimmy Ward has been talking a little bit about guys who've been stepping up and young men who've been coming into their own and doing certain things. And he was talking a little bit about Demo and how Demo with time is going to be great. And this is something that we thought he's going to be special. This is something that we thought, it's definitely something that can be the case. Time is going to be his friend, just like it's going to be Trey's. And he talked a little bit about Trey Lance as well. We talked about Trey Lance's strengths, the fact that he's not a guy who sometimes just wants to throw it underneath. He wants to throw the ball downfield.
Right.
And all those things are great. And I know 49ers fans hear that and they're like, yeah, absolutely. That's what we want. But there are times where you have to take what is being given to you. You have to maybe not show respect to the defense, but be like, oh, you're going to make it this easy for me. I'm willing to take those things and get them to want to come up in space a little bit more. And when they do that, it opens up those other things. But again, Trey will learn those things in time. I liked Jimmy pointing out the strengths of the two gentlemen and the areas that they're improving. And look, they're not the only ones. Azeez is getting better each and every week. DJ Jones has been impressive so far through this season and what he's been able to do and how he's looked with the system. Emmanuel Mosley is stepping up in a huge way for the secondary. If you would have told me that Emmanuel Mosley would look this good with no Jason Verrett on the outside and people really going after him and testing him, man, I would have been like, that good? I thought he could like step up in a big way and have some great moments for us. But as good as he has looked through 2 games so far, man, I like where the direction this team is headed, and I like where the secondary's at.
Yeah, I like what Jimmy said about Trey Lance. I mean, but that's what Trey does. I mean, he does throw it. He's one of the better deep ball throwers in the league already as a rookie. I mean, that's what he can do for you. The question is, can he do everything else? And receiver after receiver after receiver was open, and he did not check it down. He was not willing to check it down. So, yeah, some quarterbacks aren't willing to check it down. That's something he's going to have to go to, because if not, it's going to be a long day for him. So hopefully he does that, because if he does, then there's going to be no way they can defend him, because his athletic gifts, if he takes what the defense is giving him consistently and gets the ball out on time, then when those shots come down the field, it's going to be more wide open, and he's going to have big plays like he had in the preseason, and then he's really going to be hard to stop. So we're waiting for him to become a full quarterback, and once he does become that full quarterback, he can almost be impossible to stop, and then you have one of the elite ones, and then that's when you can get to the Super Bowl and you can win the Super Bowl. But right now, he's not there. He's going to be improving. Let's see if he takes those checkdowns. He didn't last week. If he does this week, there's going to be lots of opportunities for quick, high completion percentage, plays where his players can make plays in space. Hopefully he does it. If he does, we're going to rack up the yak yards. Not about how far the ball travels, as much as everyone wants you to believe that. It's about what they do with it when you get them the ball in space. Get your playmakers the ball and let them create.
He already can throw it deep. We already know that Trey Lance is not going to have an issue with air completion yards. And
no,
it's not a problem.
No.
What Trey needs to demonstrate now is the ability to find the guys that are open when they're open and get rid of the ball on time. If he can do those things, then guess what? The world is his ocean, man.
Oh, yeah.
That the field is going to open up for him in ways that he cannot even possibly begin to imagine right now. Because I can't even possibly begin to imagine it right now. If Trey Lance can find guys underneath and complete passes and force teams to respect his underneath, respect his ability to dissect and navigate the field, big time for the 49ers.
Yeah, let's see how complicated Arizona's defense is against them.
I imagine it's going to be fairly complex, man. They have to, right? You had to have seen what. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily have to. You watch Seattle run cover 3 and them not take those things. Maybe you roll with the same sort of idea.
And you have Isaiah Simmons that you can spot.
True.
I mean, so this might be an interesting matchup, because Isaiah Simmons could just sit there, spy Trey Lance. He could take him on read options. They can make this a lot easier for themselves. They might just go base cover 3 and then roam this guy. Let's see.
We'll see what happens. Look, we're going to take a look at the film too and see what the film says, because maybe the film will let us gleam into it. So we'll see you over on Patreon for that. All 22 film preview on Saturday. You don't want to miss that. A lot of great content just coming out here on the channel. You don't want to miss any of it. We still got Jay and the Bay this afternoon. You don't want to miss that at 2 p.m. What's good with our boy Jay? He's got 5 big things, as well as Know Your Opponent with Evan from the He's on Fire podcast. You don't want to miss any of that either.
He's on fire.
He's on fire. He really is. I'll tell you what, I had a lot of fun over there with their pod. So go check that out as well if you missed it. I was over there talking a little bit 49ers, Cardinals, getting into a little bit. We had a nice little Q&A session. So go check that out. Show them some love. We'll see him for Know Your Opponent, and then next week for Quest for the West. But Ant, man, this is interesting times. We're ever so close. Today's practice. Is Jimmy going? Is he's not? Did you like Ward's comments? All the player updates. Trent possibly, really, most likely, almost 100% going to be playing this weekend. Playing. How excited are you about it? Let us know in the comments section down below. And don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that notification bell.
Trent Williams is playing. I'm just going to put that out there. He's going to be out there. I'm as sure as I am about what has been going on with Kinlaw. I was pretty clear on that. And he's been out there every week. But I think Trent adds a big aspect to this football team. They needed him. There's he's like a blanket out there, where he gives you that comfort, a baby blanket. It's nice. It feels good just knowing he's there. You feel safe in the pocket. Both quarterbacks needed that. Whether that is Jimmy because he's going to be immobile, not able to move, which is crazy because it's a little bit more immobile than normal. But then you got Trey Lance, who just want him to feel comfortable and be able to create if he's back there. So. That is still up in the air. We'll see if Jimmy practices, what he does, how he feels afterwards, and if Kyle Shanahan gives us any idea of what is going to happen. So you can find out about that on Saturday's not preview show, but Saturday's show where we talk about the game plan plan that the 49ers are going to implement against Arizona, and any news that's coming up as far as 49ers on who's going to start, you need to be over there 11 a.m. for our daily video.
11 a.m. dailies. You Cutback crew knows that, but the rest of you, if you don't, 11 a.m. daily right here on the 49ers Cutback on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, all the podcast platforms, Google Pods, all Apple Pods, literally all of them. Literally all of them. We'll see you on the next one. Make sure you stay tuned for What's Good with Jay and the Bay, and until the next one, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.